The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas is a short story created by Ursula K. Legwin, where we learn of a strange place called Omelas. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this short story because not only was it a really interesting story, it also went in depth on topics like happiness and morality. In this video journal, however, I wanted to talk about how the story is split up into 5 different parts and how each part is different from the other. The first part of this story portrays a seemingly perfect society in which everyone is happy. However, it's important to note that the reader must first see this society as perfect in order to later understand the reason for their happiness. In the second part, they really explore happiness in Omelas at length, but to summarize, the narrator doesn't want the reader to think of Omelas as too, quote, goody-goody. As a result, the narrator encourages the reader to imagine the city however they like, hence the very random quote, "Please add an orgy. If an orgy would help, don't hesitate." The third part starts off with the narrator paying special attention to the children of Omelas, describing their joy and emotional attentiveness to their horses, and generally portraying childhood in Omelas as idealistic. Then we get a rapid transition from the bird's eye view of thriving Omela society to a close-up on an individual child whose dark, miserable, and lonely experience contrasts dramatically the festival of summer unfolding above ground. The author goes very in detail in regards to the condition of the child. The contrast between the children of Omelas and the poor child in the basement is very sad. While the children of Omelas are naked because they are free of shame, the child is naked because it lacks proper care. And while the children of Omelas eat treats at the festival of summer, the child is limited to cornmeal and grease. In the fourth part, the narrator reveals that everyone in Omelas knows about this awful contrast and still, no one does anything to help the child. The narrator clarifies that while the people of Omelas justify neglecting a suffering child, they do not take this decision lightly. Knowing the child is suffering forces the citizens of Omelas to recognize the interrelated nature of happiness and suffering. Even though they realize that they are indebted to the child, they refuse to help it. In this story, the narrator explains that at least in Omelas, happiness cannot exist without suffering, and that accepting this reality is how one grows up and truly joins society. In the fifth part, the citizens are unable to change the structure that requires the child to suffer for the city's happiness. Citizens can choose to disengage with Omelas society altogether by leaving Omelas. Hence the name of the story, Those Who Leave Omelas. In my opinion, leaving Omelas is an ultimate act of individualism, as it requires one to reject the comfort of society in a stand for one's own self-sense of morality. Overall, I really enjoyed this story and its different parts, and I hope to read something similar in this class again.